and welcome back to the Hot Pod. Today I am by myself. I think this is the first ever episode by myself, and it's something that I'm doing which is completely different. I'm answering your questions that I've asked you to ask on my Instagram, and I'm just going to flick through and answer a few off the cuff and see where the episode goes, basically. I have decided to do this at the end of every single series. I just think it's a really nice way for you to ask your questions and for me to answer them. So let's get started. Now, I think you've probably heard and seen me quite a lot over this podcast, but actually, do you really know me? I know I did that first episode with Lauren and we spoke about all things friendship, how it was being my best friend, and I know you got a little insight into me. But actually, I think it's really important for me to tell you about myself a bit more and who I am, what I'm doing, and my mission. So if you don't know, I'm Lauren. I am from Hertfordshire. So actually, I'm originally from Stevenage and I grew up there. I spent all of my childhood there until I was placed in foster care at the age of 12 years old, and I moved all the way to Cambridgeshire. I lived in a little village away from my friends, away from my family, and had to spend hours getting the school bus every single morning until I actually eventually moved schools, and that was a whole entire disaster in itself. School was not something that I loved, it was not something that I thrived in, and it was not something that I enjoyed. Although I hated school, I have taken things from it, and I guess it shaped me to who I've become. Moving on swiftly, I've always had my own businesses, starting from a social media company to then moving into the events industry and blowing up a 6-figure business just out of the air in lockdown. It was absolutely insane. Me and Lauren did speak about it in our first episode, so go back and have a listen to that because she tells you what it was like having me as a boss. To now, I am an influencer, which sounds cringe saying. Let's call it a content creator. I create content for brands. I share my life online. I help, I bring value, and I inspire people. Well, I hope I inspire you. I share my story, I share my journey, and I want to bring value to you. I want to give you an insight into things that you may not know about. And now here we are. Here is where the Hot Pod has been born. Here is my way of sharing how you guys can cycle break in any aspect of your life. It doesn't have to be a toxic family pattern. It doesn't have to be debt. It doesn't have to be getting clean. It doesn't have to be anything huge like that. It can be the smallest things that make the biggest difference to your life. I'm also a mum of 2. I have 2 boys, Henry, who is 3, and Orly, who is 1, and they have just made my life amazing. They have fulfilled me in the best way possible. They make me so proud and they give me such a purpose. And I guess this is me here pushing myself out of my comfort zone and proving to them that you can do anything that you put your mind to if you really just go for it, which is exactly what I'm doing. I'm pushing the boat out. I'm just going to scroll, choose a few, and then see how it goes, basically. I have had so many questions and so many interesting questions. You guys are nosy, firstly, and I do love that. Where are you getting some of these questions from, guys? I'm going to try and be very valuable and helpful while I do this. So I really hope that you can resonate, you can take something from this, and you get a little bit more insight into me. Let's start off with question 1. Question 1 is, how do you stop repeating what feels familiar but isn't healthy? And I think that's such a good question because this is clearly someone that's stuck in, I feel familiar, this feels safe, but actually knows that it isn't healthy. And I think it's, you've taken the first step. You've got the awareness. You're aware that this actually isn't healthy. And that is a huge thing, I think. I think familiarity is safety, isn't it? It's what we feel comfortable with. And I think sometimes being uncomfortable and learning to be uncomfortable is always better. Can be really beneficial to us, especially when you're trying to break cycles and when things aren't healthy. And I think taking the first step, once you've done that, you'll really just start realizing that doing that, breaking the cycles and familiarity isn't necessarily a good thing. You will then start to break more cycles in your life and stop repeating unhealthy habits. I hope that helps. Another question I got was, how do you trust yourself when you weren't taught how? I think this is really difficult because I don't trust myself sometimes. I sometimes really struggle with self-belief and confidence, but actually I found that when I am confident and when I say I can do this, I do it and I make it work. And I think that's the thing. I think you just have to trust that you are always on your own team. So you have to make it work and it has to work. So trusting yourself when you weren't taught how to is really difficult because there's no blueprint. There is no, my mum has always trusted me, so therefore I have trust in myself. And I think it's knowing that you will always try and do the best for yourself, and whether it goes well or it doesn't go well, you've still put your trust into yourself to fail or to achieve. The next one would be, how did you learn to set boundaries without guilt? Now, I'm not going to lie, I was very bad at setting boundaries. I didn't really set boundaries until after Henry was born. I have never been very good at saying no, or I guess putting myself first. I'm quite a people pleaser. And a fun story, when Henry was born, so I had a home birth with Henry, which I'm sure you guys all know by now, but I had a home birth with Henry, and when Henry was born, I was actually in the pool and my mother-in-law was waiting outside and wanted to come in, and that was a huge no-no for me, and I didn't speak up at the time and I didn't set those boundaries, and then I hadn't even cuddled my newborn, and I was like being rushed out of the pool so my mother-in-law and other family members could come and meet my newborn baby. And I always remember that. I remember that so vividly. I remember that night so vividly because my baby met so many family members on the day he was born. He was 2 hours old and he was in my mother-in-law's arms. He was in his uncle's arms, grandparent. He met aunties, uncles, grandparents. He met so many people in that one evening that should have just been us in our bubble. And so when I had Ollie, and that really made me think, and I really struggled with that months on because I just wanted that newborn bubble. So when I had Ollie, I put the boundaries in place and I said, nobody will know when I have Ollie, and I will tell them in my own time. So nobody can rush me and rush this bubble. And I guess that's when I really started putting boundaries in place, is when I knew that I had to put myself first, put my feelings first, and I didn't want to repeat things that had already happened before. Another question was, what boundary changed your life the most? I think this is a really interesting one. I guess the boundary of my mum, of setting a boundary of, actually, you're not going to treat me like this, and I'm not going to let my children watch you treat me like this. I guess that's been the most life-changing, because it could have gone either way. She could have been like, okay, actually, I want to work on things and I'm going to be the mum that you crave and I'm going to show up as a mother figure. Or the other way, which it has gone, of, okay, then I won't be in your life. And I think that's huge, because ultimately, setting that boundary, I protected my peace, I put myself first, and I protected my children, but I didn't know the outcome. And I guess that's a very life-changing boundary, because it's completely changed the way I see the world. It's completely changed how I am, what involvement my children have with their grandparents and everything. But I don't regret it in the slightest, because I'm happier and I'm more at peace. Moving on from that, I had a question of, how do you hold boundaries with people you still love? And although I don't speak to a lot of my family members, I do still speak to a few, and I still have boundaries in place with them. And I guess it's choosing to set a boundary and sticking to the boundary, but then also knowing that they might get upset, but that's okay. And knowing that they actually should be reciprocative of that boundary, and they should be willing to work with you on your boundaries, especially if it's things like with your children, or I don't know, with your other family members. I find it really difficult when I'm trying to battle with the boundary that I've put in place, and that often obviously causes friction. So if somebody's quite chill about a boundary that I've put in place, then it's really, I guess, easier to deal with. So I guess hold the boundary, stick to your guns, and if the family members really love you and value you and respect you and appreciate you, then they will just be okay with the boundary. Another question was, how do you stop explaining yourself to everyone? I don't. I do explain myself to everyone. I feel like I'm always trying to explain myself. I'm always overthinking. I'm always a bit overwhelmed, and I'm always like, oh, I should explain this. But actually, I think you need to know that you don't need to ever explain yourself. And I need to know that, and I probably need to stop explaining myself as much as I do. And I have worked on that a lot. Like, I do things now, and especially in the last year, have completely changed my tone on, actually, no, I'm choosing this for me. I don't need to explain it. Like, no, this is what my choice is, and that's that. And I think you have to stick to your guns, and you have to be like, okay, cool, this is what I've chosen, you either want to accept or you either move on. I really like this question, so I'm going to answer it. What daily choices help regulate your nervous system? Now, I am such a well-being girly, so this was right up my street. I have to say, daily skincare, absolute ritual, morning and evening. I love it. It's literally 2 steps. Literally just do eye cream and day cream and then night cream and lip balm. So 3 steps actually. But it's 30 seconds out of my day and it makes me feel 10 times better. Like, it creates such a help in regulating my nervous system. I also would say drinking water straight away in the morning. A huge thing for me, and that I've started this year, is not sleeping with my phone in my room, which has created such a better sleep environment for me. I cannot even tell you the difference. I actually have a neon pillow spray and the smell is insane. So I spray that before I go to bed, don't have my phone in my room, and I have the neon diffuser by my bed. And I feel like I'm going to sleep in a spa. That regulates my nervous system. I think always fueling my body and listening to my body really helps regulate my nervous system. And I think being honest with myself also really helps regulate my nervous system. If I'm feeling stressed, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, that's okay. I just need to take a few deep breaths and then all will be fine. I'm also a huge spa girly. We know that. I love a bath. I love a sauna. I love a hot tub, anything like that. Obviously, I can't go to a spa every time. I need to regulate my nervous system. But going and having a weekly bath, insane. It just helps me so much. On a Saturday, I have a daytime bath and I absolutely love it. I also do try and go to a spa monthly because it is so beneficial, and I love a sauna and find that a sauna really calms me down. Another question I've had was, how do you create stability without having had it before? So interesting. Such a hard question to answer, if I'm being completely honest. I think it's really hard to create stability without having had it before. You don't have a blueprint. You don't have experience, you don't know what you're doing. But I think focusing on what you want your future to look like, what you want your children to have, and the stability and the feelings that come with stability, knowing how I feel, having a stable home, having a stable income, having stable friends and family around me really help me to constantly choose that stability. I really like this one, and I guess I'm not really someone to like toot my own horn, but this is, what are you most proud of about the life you're building? And I really love that because I guess I never really take a step back to reflect, and this has made me take a step back to reflect. I would say that I'm really proud of the impact that I'm having on other people and how I'm spreading my journey, my word, and the things like that really, I guess really make it worth it. Helping people is what I would love to do. Spreading awareness, using my story, using my journey is something that I'm so proud of. Turning my pain into purpose is something that I'm really proud of. And of course, I'm so proud of the community that I have. I feel so lucky and so grateful that I have such a supportive community around me that have enabled me to actually bring so much awareness to my life story and to the experiences that I've had. And yeah, I guess that's what I'm really proud of. Also, it goes without saying, I am so proud of my boys. I love being their mum, and I'm proud of the mum that I'm becoming. I'm proud of how I'm bringing them up. I'm proud of how they're growing up and how they are. Another question I really like was, what advice would you give to someone starting from scratch? And I think it's just small steps, like small steps. The tiniest things are going to make the biggest difference in your life if you do it consistently. So start small, get your goals in place. A starting point is better than no point. And I think that's what you just have to remember. Another question was, what would you tell someone who feels stuck repeating the same patterns? And I guess that goes back to the first question of what feels familiar and isn't healthy. What do you do about that? I guess noticing that you're in a wrong pattern is a huge step in the right direction. And then doing small steps towards that is really helpful. I really like this question because it's something I toy with a lot. It is, how do you stop feeling guilty for choosing yourself? And that's something that I've really had to work with, because ultimately, yes, I do feel guilty for choosing myself a lot. I feel guilty for putting my career first sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. And I guess I feel guilty sometimes for being a mum. If I've had a bad day or I'm not feeling being a mum that day, you know how it is. So I guess stopping feeling guilty for choosing yourself is just knowing and trusting yourself and knowing that actually you are choosing the right path. I know that I'm doing these things for me. I'm protecting my peace. I'm protecting my family's peace. And that's enough to make me realize, actually, yeah, I do feel a bit guilty, but overall, the benefits of what I'm doing is better than feeling guilty. Okay, are you ready? Coffee or tea? I don't drink any soft drinks. I only drink water. Like, water is my go-to. Water and Prosecco. I have no hot drinks and no soft drinks. So that is something to know. Morning person or night out? Definitely night out. I am not a morning person in the slightest. Texting or voice notes? Voice notes. I am a voice note girly. Don't text me. Just call me or voice note me. So much easier. Beach or mountains? This depends on my mood, I think, but definitely beach. I'm a beach girly at heart. I absolutely love the sea. I love snorkeling, and I just love everything about being in the sun. Planner or go with the flow? I am absolutely a go with the flow, wing it person. When I put a plan in place, it always goes wrong. So I just think, why am I wasting my time planning? Like, let's just forget about it, you know? Introvert or extrovert? Absolutely, definitely an extrovert. Maybe too much of an extrovert, but it's okay because this is all part of turning pain into purpose. A few other quick questions was favourite way to reset my mood? Definitely a bath. Definitely getting out in the fresh air and just giving myself some me time. Even a bit of a doom scroll, I love that. One word my friends would use to describe me: chaotic. Absolute chaos. Always chaos and always unpredictable. Favourite comfort activity would be having a bath, walking, going to the spa and having a sauna. What's my current obsession? I would say my LED face mask. I absolutely love it. Of an evening putting it on, I just feel like it shuts the world out, and I love that. I've got the current body one, and it is so good. One habit I cannot live without would have to be a book that I recommend to everyone. It has to be The Magic Book. I absolutely love it. It has changed my life. Absolutely. It is so good. And anyone that wants to change their life, do The Magic Book. One thing that always makes me laugh, really interesting one. I guess Henry, he is hilarious. Ollie's also really funny. But my friends, like, I love being around my friends and they're always making me laugh. One belief I'm letting go of. This is so interesting, but I think it's the belief of you have to stay in contact with someone that is your family, even though they're toxic. And I just don't believe that. Like, that is completely something that I'm not a fan of. If they're toxic and they don't serve you, why are you keeping them in your life? One thing I'm proud of right now, I'm sitting here. I am so proud that I have done this and pushed the boat out. And I'm sat in a sauna filming my own podcast. What the helly? So I hope with all of my yapping, you have got to know me a little bit better now. And of course, as I said at the beginning, I will be doing this after every single series. So have a little think, ask me some other questions. My comment section is always available for questions. I'm also always available in my DMs on Instagram, on Facebook, anything like that. Just send me a message and I will answer your questions at the end of the next series. I absolutely love doing this episode by myself. It's given me the confidence to maybe do a few more solo episodes. So let me know if you want some solo episodes and let me know what sort of thing you would want the solo episodes on, because that would be so helpful. If you like listening to the Q&A, please like, comment, share, subscribe, do anything you can to spread the word about this podcast, because ultimately the Hot Pod is here to help you and to bring value and to be insightful. And the more people that know about it, the more episodes I can create and the more value I can bring you. If you did love this episode and you do want more Q&As, then please do leave this episode a 5-star review. It would mean the world to me and helps so much more than you can imagine. I cannot wait to see you for the next series. It is coming very soon. You have not got long to wait. See you later.